Hello everybody, thank you for returning back to MBE. Tonight I would like to go over the new MBE LS7 head using a CID casting. So that's a large upgrade over certainly a GM LS7 head. And really, it's the nicest LS7 casting available aftermarket wise. Everything has been improved on it. So, and you can tell that by the flow coefficients and things like that because of the architecture that we have to work in. There's a lot of advantages to it. Some of the advantages are, instead of working your butt off to get a LS7 head that flows in the 380 range, this thing flows over 430 CFM on the intake, over 280 CFM on the exhaust side, 250 intake valve, inch 600 exhaust, so a lot of valve area. This will only work on the 4120 bore or larger. We don't do anything for the 4080 stuff. So 4120 bore or larger. But what you have here, instead of having to run a 7/16 push rod, half-inch push rods fit in this so the valve train can be stable. So if you want to run a ton of RPM, you can. We can keep things stable. Gesso makes a really nice rocker system for this. It's very nice. I wish I had one to show you, but I don't right now. But we will soon. Some of the things we have, of course, this comes with copper beryllium seats. They're going to run this particular customer is going to run stainless steel exhaust valves, so we have the steel seat in it, soft chamber. Okay, this is an oval port throughout the whole head, so it's not a rectangular port. So that means it has a lot of port energy, and we're able to do that because of the way the casting's built. We can get area in it, so it has more cross-sectional area. Oops, over the short turn. So up in here, it has more cross-sectional area, and that's why the flow coefficients are so high. The other thing on the exhaust, when John sent us the castings, okay, we looked at it, and typically if you grab the gasket, I think it's better to show you here, if we were to do this. Okay, so when we got it, where the bowl holes were and everything, the port was way low, if you can see how low it was. So what we did was we raised the port up, then we moved it over this way to get it to the low pressure area. Low pressure meaning area, moving this so it's towards the center of the cylinder. And if you look at like a comp eliminator head or an Entry Pro Stock head, things like that, we try to cheat that over as much as possible because there's never any air here on the high pressure side. It's all going to be the path of least resistance, which is a low pressure wall, which is right here on this side here. So we moved that over. What that did was, when we moved it over and we checked it, it picked up 20 CFM on the exhaust port just by moving this over. So you can see we have machined this, we plugged the bolt holes, and then we put helicoil, and then we re-drill all the bolt holes, so all of this is raised and moved over. So it's a distinct advantage just using us. And that's just some of the things that we do when we get a casting. We're like, how can we make it better? How can we make it better? Well, let's just move the bolt holes over. We'll put helicoils in them. Everything will last forever. So something like this can make a lot of power for somebody and still be an LS7, where you don't have to go to like our Dart LS10 degree, things like that. It's not as much money as that. The rocker systems are a little bit less money. The castings are a little bit less money, which brings the cost down for everybody else. The cool part about this, there's a lot of options for it, as everybody knows, in the LS7 market. So, boom, we can put the cast manifold on it. We can do this for normally aspirated. We can do it for fuel injection. We can do it for 2 fuel injectors if you want. So if you're going to run a turbocharger, a pro charger, whatever you're going to do, we can put an elbow and we can do that here. Or, this is a Whipple Supercharger for an LS7. This head bolts right on here with very little port matching. This is a dream. So for us to do all of this, there's not a lot of cost in it because there's not a lot of labor. It fits it's almost perfect. There's hardly anything we have to do. So it's very nice. So this makes this a very viable option. And good Lord, who knows what you make with a Whipple Supercharger with something like this. But now you have a casting that has a lot of aluminum in it. It's rigid, so if you're going to run a power adder, it's not going to flex. With the LS valve layout, meaning there's the 2 exhausts aren't next to each other, it's not going to have head gasket issues, things of that nature. The decks are very thick on it. That's one thing about John at CID. He tries to make a much, much better product within the casting. So this is the CID LS7 cylinder head. We can do these for NA applications, so normally aspirated, power adder, or a Whipple Supercharger, another power adder. So show you all of that. So all of this has been raised up. This is raised up higher here. The rocker gear is not your standard LS. Similar. We have billet valve covers for this. We had Moroso make us a billet valve cover for this. It is gorgeous. All that's been finished, so they're making those for us. So we'll show those in the videos pretty soon. But all this stuff is finished and it's available to everyone. I typically keep these castings in inventory, just like with every cylinder head that we do, that we get from, that we try to get from everybody. When we get them, it does not have spring pockets, guide bores, spring pockets, spark plugs. We do all of that here. That way we can police it. And plus, if we need to move something around a little bit to take advantage of something, then we do it just like we did the exhaust port. So that's the MBE CID LS7 cylinder head. Thanks for joining us.